Check, check, check. Wagwan, everybody. I am your Jamaican Queen, Miss Y. You are tuned into How I See It TV, and this is How I See It Live. Before I get into the topic, and while I wait for a couple people to join me for this live, let me just do, my little housekeeping. So please remember to like this video if you are catching the replay. If you feel like the content needs some more crowd, please remember to share. You can also hit that subscribe button if you haven't subscribed yet. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter, now called X, at How I See It, and on TikTok at How I See It TV. So I'm here to talk about Married to Medicine, the new season, and some other topics depending on what the vibe of this live is. So let's start with Married to Medicine. They're in season 12. And I was saying earlier, because I was live earlier and I had to restart it because it don't even matter. I had to restart it. And I was saying that I had stopped watching Married to Medicine for a while because I was tired of it being the same nonsense over and over and over again. Every single season, it was like the same formula. It was not a new storyline. It was basically Quad and the Whoa, It's Me, and her and Simone beefing, or Heavenly ganging up on Toya. It was literally the same thing every season, and I got tired of it. And then when Sweet Tea was about to join the show, I was like, okay, this is gonna be interesting. Hey, Ines, how you doing? I thought, okay, this is going to be interesting because we've never seen this on reality TV before, where an ex-wife or husband, comes back to the show with their new spouse, and now they have to navigate friendships and relationships within the same circle as their ex-spouse. So I thought this was going to be interesting. Of course, we knew that there was going to be some drama off the bat. Honestly, even before I saw one episode of season 10, I liked Letitia because of her social media. And I usually, try to, because I'm in this space, this YouTube space, this reality TV commentary space, I try to first see what the vibe of somebody is on their social media, because that's like literally one of the first places that you can go and be introduced to somebody's personality, like their real personality. Well, that's if they're real, because you got some people who are curating a fake life for social media, right? And from some of the lives that she was doing even before episode 1 of season 10, I could tell that she was funny, that, she didn't take herself too seriously, and she wasn't the typical reality TV girly, if you know what I mean. She wasn't already like, what's the word I'm looking for? She was not yet, I can't figure out the word that I'm looking for right now. I hate when the word is like right at the, like, your brain is like right there and it just won't roll off the tip of your tongue. I hate that so badly, and now it's gonna bother me for the rest of the life that I can't recall the word that I'm looking for. But anyways, you could tell that she wasn't going to be the typical reality TV star who's coming in BBL down, the lace front down, makeup down, all of that just being fake and phony. You could tell that she was going to try to be her authentic self. And for me, that is what she gave episode 1, season 10, into her last episode of season 11. And I liked her. I liked her energy. I liked that she was relatable. I liked that she was younger because majority of those women are 60s, 70s. You know what I mean? And I was interested to see how Quad, Dr. G, and Sweetie were going to navigate being a part of the same friend circle. Like, let's be for real. I was saying earlier that if you are part of a small town, or you are a part of like certain professions or whatever, or you and your spouse went to college and y'all had the same friends from college or whatever, most likely when one of you move on, you're going to have to be around your ex and their new partner. And for me, I didn't feel like Sweetie and Quad had to be at odds. I know there was like little, a little bit of bad blood and hard feelings between Quad and Dr. G, but for me, because the show was or is pretty much about the women, I didn't see why Quad and Sweetie needed to butt heads at all. You know, of course, there's going to be drama, there's going to be little shady comments or whatever, but I didn't see why it would be necessary for them to butt heads. Sweetie met Dr. G long after he and Quad were divorced. Uh, She's not the reason they got divorced. Quad and Sweetie were never friends. So it's like, okay, he's moved on with a new woman. Y'all are She is now in the same friend circle by virtue of her husband still being friends with these people. So let's see what happens. But obviously, because it's reality TV, and because some of these women have to put on a show because they're the fan favorites and they feel like they're the stars and whatever, it became a toxic situation. Toxic to the point of they're bullying this girl, they're gaslighting the hell out of her. They're beating her down emotionally. And for what? For TV. Y'all are the ones that told her, "Hey, we think that you should come and be a part of the show," because y'all wanted to kick Quad out. And at the time she didn't know that y'all were using her for that purpose, but eventually she figured it out. And when y'all got back in good graces with Quad, it became, let's beat this person down. Let's stop beating Toya down. Let's stop beating Quad down. Let's beat this girl down because we feel like she's the weakest link. And she pretty much showed them that she's not. And they didn't like that. And I wish that some of Sweetie's points landed more during her last season on the show. And I think that if more of the Married to Medicine fans had given her the chance and actually went and watched her YouTube content and actually were willing to hear her side of things, especially when it was it was a situation between her and Dr. Heavenly, I feel like a lot of people would have felt differently about her. But they're lost. She's on to bigger and better things with Doctors Wives of Atlanta. And I hope that takes off in a big way because that's a more positive space. So let's talk about season 12, Married to Medicine, and the trailer that just dropped. And I want to give y'all some tea because I know this for a fact. I know this for a fact that during the pre-production last season, one cast member suggested that the cast trip should be to Jamaica. Let me say that again. During last season, before filming began, one cast member suggested that the cast trip should be to Jamaica. Why did this person suggest that the cast trip be in Jamaica? Because that's where this cast member got engaged. And filming started for season 11 around the time that this cast member was going to celebrate her first wedding anniversary. I'm sure by now y'all know exactly who I'm talking about, right? And The rest of the cast, they were not interested. They were not interested in that idea any at all. They did not want to go to Jamaica. Isn't that interesting? Not only, not only was this cast member engaged in Jamaica, but they also have ties to Jamaica. And so the idea was the cast trip should be in Jamaica where they could also do some charity work, right? But as I said, they were not interested. Y'all realize that they went on a cast trip last season to Florida and they didn't do any charity work? They have moved so far away from Mariah's vision for the show, where the couples trip would be for the wives and the husbands to strengthen their marriage, and also for these doctors, their wives, to do some areas that work. These areas, what they've done is they've moved from having cast trips where these doctors actually go into communities and help, whatever area they go to. And now they've moved it to, oh, we're just going to have the Met Gala, and whatever we raise from the Met Gala, we're going to give that money to whatever charity we choose. Last year, it was the For Cure for Moms Foundation. And I think this year, from what I saw on Contessa's Instagram, they're trying to give like money to future medical students. Like if you're in med school, it's basically like a scholarship. They're gonna split the money between a few med students or whatever. And that's fine. But I don't see why, if you're on vacation for 3, 4 days, why one of those days can't be, we're gonna bring some supplies as doctors. We have Eugene, who is an ER doctor. We have Jackie and Simone, who are OBGYNs. We have Damon, who's a pain specialist. We have yeah. So we have those people who can literally go into a community and do different things like they used to do. They used to just do like quick little checkups. I remember when they went to, I think it was Mexico on one of the cast trips. They they did like quick checkups and referred, like, the patients or the people that came to get those checkups. They were like, okay, this is what I think is wrong with you, and I think you should go to your doctor, and da 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 da. And so I don't see why. Okay, I don't know yet if when they went on this trip to Jamaica, I don't know yet. I don't know if I'm gonna watch it, but I'm sure I'll see the clips. I don't know yet if they did any charity work. But of course, I was looking at some of their social media during the time that they were on this cast trip to Jamaica, and I didn't see where they were doing anything. But as I was saying, it was suggested last year that they do this trip to Jamaica and they do some charity work, and none of the cast members were interested. And nobody can tell me, like, oh, it wouldn't make no sense because this person, they're not from Jamaica, blah, 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 blah. Because at the end of the day, King was a part of the cast last season, and he's from Jamaica. So it would have still made sense in the grand scheme of things because King is there, he's from Jamaica, this other cast member was engaged in Jamaica. So, okay, it all makes sense. But for whatever reason, even though no one was interested last season in going to Jamaica, all of a sudden this year, this idea is perfect. And now the cast of Married to Medicine went to Jamaica on a cast trip. You can't tell me that these women aren't hateful and spiteful and just mean girls, like Phaedra said. Because if you can do it this season, I don't understand why last season no one wanted to go. And then for Simone and Cecil to be the ones to host this particular trip, because that's what it looked like in the trailer, tells me that maybe Simone was the one that took this idea from last season that this other cast member gave and went to production and said, hey, I think we should go to Jamaica this year. That's what I'm assuming. I don't know. But that was my little tea for y'all. And for those who are just coming in, a cast member last season who's no longer on the show suggested that they go to Jamaica for the cast trip, and none of the women wanted to go last season. Maybe because it was this cast member suggesting it, and they are mean girls over there. But somehow now that this person is gone, here they are going to Jamaica for season 12 of Married to Medicine. All right, my other thoughts on the season 12 trailer. Quad doing IVF. I heard another content creator saying, "Oh, Dr. G must feel a way that Quad didn't want to have a baby with him and now she's trying to doing all this to have a baby with this other man." And for me, if y'all can't see that this is a fake storyline that Quad has, then y'all not seeing clear. Y'all are not seeing clearly enough for me. I don't think at this point in Dr. G's life he cares that much about that aspect of the marriage. I think that people can move on from each other, they can get a divorce, and they can realize that what? Based on how this person is and based on certain things that happen, it's probably for the best that we never had children. That could probably be his mindset, and I'm sure that's Quad's mindset too, right? Because she said as much in one season of the show, right? So I don't know about him feeling any kind of way about her trying to have a baby with her fraud boyfriend. And I will continue to call him a fraud based on the court case that he lost recently. I will continue to say that, okay? It was proven in court. He's a fraud. So, anyways, let me clear my throat. So, her doing IVF and going through that, for me, it's like y'all said that Sweet Tea was jealous of Quad. Not y'all, but the people said Sweet Tea was jealous of Quad. But it's given. Quad has decided that she's gonna take on all of Sweet Tea's storyline and make it her own this season. Because Sweet Tea came in from Jump talking about doing IVF, talking about wanting a baby, talking about wanting a family. Sweet Tea and Dr. G are both twins. Quad out here talking about she want twins. It's almost like Quad lives in this world where she's still trying to like one up her ex. Dr. G got engaged in Jamaica to his now wife. Quad went and got herself a Jamaican man. She's like, I can do one better. Like y'all don't see it. Am I reaching? It's like, oh, you got engaged in Jamaica. I can do one better. I can find me an actual Jamaican, and she went and did that. Oh, you're a twin, and your wife is a twin. Oh, I'm gonna be walking around now saying I want twins. Lord, Quad is a mess. I know why that is so like it's so funny to me. It's like so funny to me. So we see her in the trailer um doing her IVF shots, and then all of a sudden she's going to Ghana to do her IVF treatments. I'm like, didn't they say Dr. Jackie was one of the best down there in Atlanta? Doesn't Jackie have like a whole IVF clinic, a whole surrogacy business that she owns or she's in partnership with Candy, where if Quad remember Heavenly's When Heavenly was cursing Sweetie out on YouTube with Carlos, one of the things that Heavenly said was if Sweetie wanted a whole new uterus, Jackie could give her a new uterus. So it's weird to me that Quad is not I don't know what the medical landscape is like in Ghana, so this is no shade to Ghana. I'm thinking that she's probably claiming that she's choosing that route because Ghana, it's probably cheaper there to do IVF than it is in the US. Like, let's be for real. You know, I'm Jamaican, so I know what a dollar, $100 in the US is like almost what, maybe 10,000 or more dollars in Jamaica. So I'm sure that $100 in the US is a couple thousands or a couple hundreds too in Ghana. I don't really know the exchange rate. So maybe it's a matter of Quad can't afford because IVF, y'all, is expensive. I was listening to Millie Chen the other day and she was talking about she had a conversation with Sweetie and Sweetie was saying like, right now they're more focused on continuing to build Dr. G's practice because he is actually an owner of his own practice, and with that comes a lot of responsibility. He has staff that he has to pay. He has a building that he is renting. Um and then Sweetie works, and she works in the government, and we know that the government is on shutdown right now. So right now she's focused on helping him. And Millie Shun said that, Sweetie said right now they're just focusing on that because of XYZ reasons. And I saw people saying, oh, they're rich enough to not have to worry about a government shutdown, and that's not the reason. And I'm like, do these people know how expensive IVF is? Those injections are not $100. They're not $200. We're talking about thousands of dollars for rounds. And Sweetie already shared publicly that it wasn't IVF that she did. It was another treatment, and she shared that that failed last year on the reunion. So it's a lot of money being put into trying to have a baby. And if you're at a space now where you know s- things are probably rocky business wise, and now in terms of investments or whatever, you have to focus on building the business because hello, you're not trying to bring a child into the world and be broke while doing it. And yes, he's a doctor, but at the end of the day, you still have to be financially responsible. So I don't know why people feel like it's just so just weird for her to say right now because of XYZ. We just have that on pause for right now. We don't know how long the pause is going to be. The pause could be for a couple months while they get things situated over here. It could be for a year, it could be for 2 years. We don't know what's going on in these people's world. They could be thinking about adoption, fostering. There's so many options. They could be thinking, you know what? Let's not with the IVF anymore and let's try to go to surrogacy work. We don't know the conversations these people are having. So if the girl said to Millie Chun, we are pausing that for right now because of these reasons, then what's the issue? People swear that they know everything about these celebrities' lives. Even the people that I don't know, I'm not out here trying to pretend that if they come and give an explanation about what's happening in their world, that they're lying. I'm just not one of the people that's going to do that. But anyways, Quad is going to Ghana to get her baby, she said. Y'all are going to watch and see how that plays out. Because again, I don't know if I'm watching. But what was very interesting was how they have gone back to beating down on Quad and beating down on Toya. These two got a break for 2 seasons because everybody else was beating down on Sweet Tea. And so that's just karma for them. It's justice. That's how I see it. We told y'all, Quad and Toya. Well, I told y'all. I was tweeting it during last season. During the reunion, I was tweeting it. I said, what was going to happen next season? If Sweetie does not return next season, all that's going to happen is they're going to go back to beating down on Quad like they used to. And Heavenly's going to go back to dragging Toya like she used to. Because remember, Heavenly would drag the heck out of Toya on YouTube. She would call that girl all kinds of slow, all kinds of dumbs, all kinds of broke. Talk about that girl's finances like a dog. Talk about how, I mean, Toya doesn't respect Eugene, so I thought it was very rich of her to be talking about Sweet Tea's and Dr. G's dynamic when all she does is yell and scream at Eugene, which we see her still doing this season coming. So they're back to beating down on Toya and Quad. No surprise there. Because if the person you're bullying is no longer around for you to bully, then you know what the bullies will have to do? They will have to find new victims. That's what they have to do. The person who was their target for 2 seasons is no longer around. So now they have to move on to some new victims. And the new victims, funny enough, are the old victims. So y'all are gonna see how that plays out. We didn't see much, of Jackie. All we saw was her standing in the background, talking, King the Fraud through Quad the Frauds, IVF, the shot. That's all we saw Jackie do. I don't remember her name. What's the name of that new lady? That psychologist or psychiatrist? No, psychologist. Mimi. We saw Dr. Mimi. Guess y'all are gonna be introduced to her real life. She was a friend of last season. I think this is going to be Mimi's last season, honestly. I think they did not want to get rid of two people at the same time. Sweetie is gone, and they didn't want to get rid of Mimi because we were introduced to Mimi last season. So they were like, let's leave her alone and see what happens. And what Mimi's doing is being a pick me, going at Toya. Wow, this TV came on so, like, that was so scary. It just came on automatically. But yeah, those are my thoughts on Married to Medicine. They're going back to the same formula that they've been using for a while. The doctors bullying the women on the show that aren't doctors. Oh, Heavenly being a friend of. I'm sure that that's because she is running to go play in those people's political office. Good luck to her. If the orange man can be president, then okay, good luck to Heavenly, or Hellish, whatever you want to call her. I've heard that a lot of people in that part of Atlanta say that they are not going to be voting for her. They are fine with the person who is currently representing them in that office. So I think this is my personal opinion on Heavenly running for office. I think Heavenly is smart enough to know that it would be a conflict of interest to be on a reality TV show while running for office. How do I know this? Because, and the thing is, if I know this, if I know this, then I don't see how Heavenly wouldn't know this, right? There is some legislation. I wish I had my other phone charged up. There is some legislation where if A television network is given, especially during an election, if a television network, and y'all can go look this up if y'all don't believe me, but and let me tell you how how I know this. For those of us who follow Love and Marriage Huntsville, or used to follow Love and Marriage Huntsville, when Melody Cherie hosted that that gala for Hale Harper, and the Love and Marriage Huntsville cameras were not there, I kind of researched, like, what would be the reason for them not wanting to like showcase this awesomeness, this Black excellence. And I found out that there is like some legislation where television networks during an election period, they cannot showcase one candidate without giving the opposing candidate or the other candidates the same amount of airtime on the network. So, what that means is, if Heavenly was going to be on Married to Medicine, showcasing her campaign, talking about, her campaign, and basically, you know, lobbying for votes or whatever, whoever she's running against, if they gave Heavenly 45 minutes on NBC Universal to talk about her campaign, then whoever her opposition is, they would have to give her opposition the same 45 minutes to talk about their campaign. NBC Universal is not going to do that. They're not going to do that. And they would have to foot the bill. They would have to foot the bill for that other candidate to come on Bravo and also talk about their campaign. That is a law in the US. Go look it up. I promise you, it's real. It's very much real. So when Heavenly said, oh, they found it was 8 weeks into filming and they finally found a way around it, what happened was they basically told her, you can't talk about it. You can't really talk about your campaign. You can be a friend of, where you are now in a limited role on the show. You don't really have to talk about your life. You can still come on and act like a plum fool like you always do. You can still come around and be the clown that we're used to you being, but you can't really talk about your campaign, because we are not trying to foot the bill for your opponent to be on Bravo, NBC Universal, talking about their campaign. So y'all are gonna watch and see how Heavenly probably only says, yeah, I'm running for office, but she doesn't say anything else. She doesn't really talk about the campaign. She doesn't get into the details of it. She doesn't get into, what her stance is on any issues. It's not going to get very political. It's not. She's in a limited role. And maybe if she loses, then she'll get her spot back as a full-time cast member. Or they might feel like, you know what? We did okay without her being a full-time cast member this season. So we might just keep her in as a friend of, or we might just fire her altogether. My hope is that they'll fire her altogether. I hope that she loses. I hope she loses her political run, and I hope that she gets fired. She is a horrible person, in my opinion, a mean spirited person, obviously a liar, because she's going to say in the trailer that she found out about her son, her youngest son, being arrested. Remember, y'all, this thing with Heavenly's son happened in 2023. Huh? No, 2024. It happened in 2024. Early 2024. This lady is not going to convince me. She might be able to convince some other people, but she is not going to convince me with a straight face that she did not know that her youngest, the no, well, yeah, her youngest son, 'cause she has her youngest is her daughter, but she has two boys. She has an older son and she's a younger son. So follow me. She's not going to convince me that she didn't know that her baby boy was facing these serious charges. You're not going to convince me that Damon, because at this point, when she came out and she was saying, "Oh, I called my sons and I asked them like, are you arrested? Because if they're arrested, they don't have any money. David has to call me." She came out and she said all of that, and she said there's no truth to it, right? And then she came back on Carlos because he gave her a platform to come and lie some more. And she said, "Oh, Damon took care of it and didn't tell her." How he took care of it when it was still an open case? How did he take care of it when it was still an open case? When he still had to go to court? When he was at the point where when the story broke, he had just gotten indicted. You're telling me that it became that serious? He got indicted by a grand jury for assaulting a peace officer. And Damon didn't tell you anything, Heavenly? You found out on social media, and that's when you had to go and confront your husband and say to him, "What else aren't you telling me?" Lady, please. You lie too much. And the people who like you, they are too easily deceived by you. Because there is no way. Even if when he was arrested, Damon might not have immediately called you up and said, "Hey, baby boy is arrested." I'm sure by the time he got home and realized the seriousness of the situation, bailed him out, and realized that this was going to go to court, he told you before it hit social media. It took a minute. As I said, it happened in early 2024, and we didn't find out about it until 2025. So you're not going to convince me, Heavenly, that you didn't know anything about it. And now your storyline as a friend of on the show is, "Damon, I can't believe you hid this from me. And if I had to find out from social media about my son being arrested, then what else don't I know?" Well, maybe you don't know that Damon probably does have a mixed baby out there then. I mean, if you're trying to convince us that you didn't know that your baby boy was arrested and Damon just hid that from you so well, then I guess maybe you don't know that he got some mixed babies out there. I mean, is that what we're saying, Heavenly? And then Toya is the one that's bringing it up, Toya and Eugene. And what is Heavenly and Damon doing? "Oh, don't talk about my son." At what point did Damon not realize that his wife can't go around talking about everybody else's business on this show, and that when something like this is happening in your neck of the wood, everybody else is just going to be just so respectful of your situation and not talk about it? Heavenly sat on her YouTube and basically called Simone's sons bums. So you thought that nobody was gonna talk about your kid doing something stupid? Because that was stupid. How you gonna assault a peace officer and then try to run? And we not saying allegedly, because that is what the police report said. You assault somebody else, the police officer trying to get at you, you assault him, and then you try to run. That's some cray cray stuff. And you think that you're gonna be on a reality TV show where you have ganged up on everybody? And they're not gonna talk about what's happening with your son. You're gonna talk about, don't talk about my, keep my son's name out of your mouth. Don't talk about my kid. No. See, Damon, you should have been checking your wife on the foolishness that she been doing for seasons when it comes to other people and the things happening in their family, instead of sitting around talking about, I'm not getting in women's business. No, it's not about getting in women's business. It's telling a grown woman that you're married to that the things that she's doing and saying, not only on the show, but on social media and on her YouTube platform, are just foul and mean and outright nasty. And that's not the type of person you want to be married to. That's what you should have been saying. Since she respects you so much and worships the ground that you walk on, maybe if you were telling her that she's just showing up in society because of this show, because she thinks everything is fun and games and about ratings and about being liked, because she was never liked when she was younger. She was never the popular kid. That she's showing up now as a bully, as a 50 or 60-some-year-old woman, showing up as a bully and just a nasty, mean individual, and you don't like it. But instead, Damon just felt like, oh, it's just entertainment. It's just a show. She's destroying people's characters, and you're saying people's real life character, and that's just a show. She knew that Contessa had surgery on her breasts to prevent herself from developing breast cancer, and she makes that nasty comment about Contessa's breast, and that's just a show. She sat on YouTube and said her dead mama in hell had a better chance to have a baby than Sweetie. She sat there and said she had a better chance of having a baby than Sweetie. Dog that lady's uterus out because Sweetie responded to nasty things that she was saying prior, and you didn't feel like telling your wife at no point in time. Call Dr. G a whole Pedialyte, a whole PDS, and you just feel like it's just a show, it's just a show. But now when everybody is hitting closer to your door, it's keep my kid's name out of your mouth. Nah. Now we gonna talk about your kid just like your wife talks about everybody else and their life and their story and their ups and downs. And she doesn't care. Your son is a grown man doing dumb-ish out here in public. So yes, let the cast talk about it. Let the cast talk about it. But that's basically it for the Married to Medicine trailer. I dropped some tea earlier on during this live. If you catch the replay, thank you for tuning in. To everybody that joined me, I appreciate it. I haven't been live, I haven't been dropping videos. I've kind of lost my passion for this YouTube stuff. I think when I started YouTube, it was to put the truth out and to debunk lies that were being told when it came to uh, uh, somebody that I liked from another show. And with that person leaving that show, it's like, I don't really know what my space is now. And I've been trying to figure it out. So just bear with me. And whenever you see, me pop up and I'm live or I drop a video, just, check it out. Keep me somewhere in the YouTube algorithm, okay? But thank y'all for tuning in. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter, now called X, at How I See It, and on TikTok at How I See It TV. Jump down in the comment section below and let me know how you see things too. And if you feel like the content needs some more crowd, share it with somebody so they can come over here and check me out too, okay? Oh, and my birthday was on Friday. I had an amazing, amazing birthday. Thanks to the people who saw my Instagram story and wished me a happy birthday. Appreciate it. This is 35 now, y'all. This is 35. Let's see what the rest of the year brings. All right, y'all. Walk good. Bye.